Negative light on the Christian belief.
Since their discovery, the Dead Sea Scrolls have been pored over and examined by hundreds of scholars, and there's still no definitive word on who wrote them or what they mean. But someone wrote them and then went to a great deal of trouble to hide them hastily, as if to preserve something they feared might be lost forever. And we know the inhabitants at Qumran had reason to be afraid. In 70 AD, the Romans destroyed the Second Temple in Jerusalem after sending their armies out into the countryside to crush the remnants of a Jewish revolt against Roman rule.
There was the imminent danger of destruction, the destruction of the city of Jerusalem, the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem. The Romans had already penetrated Palestinian territory. They had arrived in Judea and started to destroy various villages and cities.
Qumran was one of those sites.
I believe that when the Roman army approached Qumran, the people decided to hide their scrolls in caves. And they thought that they have enough time. They took some scrolls to cave 1, to cave 11, to cave 3, and then they realized that they don't have enough time.
The Essenes disappear from the stage of history after the first Jewish revolt against the Romans. The site of Qumran was destroyed in the year 68 AD, at the time of the first Jewish revolt against the Romans.
That Jewish revolt ended on a hilltop in southern Judea at a site called Masada. There, about 1,000 Jewish defenders were surrounded by Roman soldiers in a siege that lasted for months. When the Romans finally broke through, they discovered that all the men defending Masada had killed themselves. Some scholars think it's likely the devout Essenes were among those who died, rather than submit to Roman rule.
It's possible that some of the Essenes fled the settlement at the time of the destruction and joined the group that was holding out on top of Masada, but then after that, we don't hear of them anymore.
And that might explain why no one ever returned to retrieve the scrolls. Instead, the scroll writers left behind an inadvertent time capsule that lay buried for nearly 2,000 years and was only rediscovered when a boy went looking for a lost goat. Now it's up to us to sort through the time capsule's contents and to decide what they mean.
Well, the Dead Sea Scrolls are the most important witness for the biblical texts that we use today. We actually have scrolls we can hold in our hands, which people contemporary with the first century held in their hands.
Now we see that the early church was part of the dynamic of ancient Judaism in the land of Israel 2,000 years ago. But we didn't know that before Qumran because we didn't have the material and the knowledge we have today.
Now that we're studying the scroll in the 21st century, we see how influential they were, how they influenced Jewish life, and how they influenced Christianity. So we see that the early church was organized very much like the Qumranites. Those scrolls shed lights on all the Western civilization.
As the remaining fragments of the Dead Sea Scrolls get reassembled, it's possible that more mysteries and controversies lie ahead. Or perhaps the scrolls have already given up all their secrets. But nothing can diminish the insights the scrolls have already given us about the world as it was during a pivotal time in history, when two religions parted ways and changed the world forever.
De afgelopen
will be combined with lower CO2 emissions.